Thanks for joining us on Plus TV Africa. I'm Benga Aboroa. President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday described the defection of the All Progressive Congress at the National Assembly as a seasonal occurrence on the eve of elections. He assured his party members that the defections would do no harm to the party at the elections. President Buhari said none of the defecting federal lawmakers of the APC had any specific grievance against him or the party he leads. Neither did he harbor anything against any of them. The statement said, and I quote, "As the saying goes, all politics is local. We understand that some of the distinguished and honorable lawmakers have issues with their home states, especially on zoning, which bars some of them from seeking another term in their constituencies." He commended the leadership of the APC for relentlessly working for its unity and ensuring success in the upcoming elections. National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Oshiomhole, said he is not worried about the recent defection by certain lawmakers from the APC. Oshiomhole, who spoke with State House correspondents after meeting with President Buhari on Tuesday, described those who left as mercenaries who were in the APC just to win elections.
Check the electoral result. You will find that a lot of those who claim to have the camp on a good day, the vote they got that makes them members of the Senate. Our president got much more vote in their constituency. So we are not fooled at all. I'm happy. I have made this point long ago, that with time, Nigerians will really have to be able to see this is what this party stands for, this is what the other party stands for. This thing of in the morning you have breakfast with me, in the afternoon you are having lunch with Patton, and in the evening you are having sugarcane with some other forces. I think in the interest of our nation, we need to simplify the issue before the electorate. We need to build a political party that goes beyond the platform for election. There has been opposition to this APC government. That opposition has come within the ranks of members of the APC, some in the National Assembly. I mean, how can we be in the majority, for example, and we use that majority to elect opposition to take the number 2 slot in our own party? How could we have been in a majority and the president make nominations, those nominations are lying on the floor of the Senate, and the Senate will not confirm?
Yesterday morning, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, was ushered into the House chamber with supporters in the House chanting his name after the news of defections at the Senate.
To APC, people can come out of APC, and you cannot stop that right.
Don't you think this is a show of shame?
Well, it's very shameful. We had warned Nigerians that the leopard does not change its skin.
How will you make an attempt to stop the Senate from sitting? So what we are doing is to insist that whoever has contrary opinion to what the opinion that is expressed on the floor should come to the floor to express it, rather than stopping people from expressing that. The beauty of democracy is that minority will have his say, but majority will have his way.
What will save the Speaker is impartiality. And justice to one is justice to another. So the same ruling is the same ruling I'm maintaining today.
The Senate Majority Leader Ahmed Lawan says the ruling All Progressive Congress still retains the majority seats in the Senate. Senator Lawan reveals this in a statement hours after 14 APC members of the upper chamber of the National Assembly announced their defection to the People's Democratic Party. It said, even though we've lost some of our colleagues to the PDP and the other parties, the All Progressive Congress still retains the position of #1 party with more seats than any other party. Lawan said, presently we have 53 senators and PDP 49, and the African Democratic Congress has 3. All Progressive Grand Alliance has 2, and we have 2 vacancies. The reformed All Progressive Congress has described the senators and representatives who defected on Tuesday as gallant lawmakers. The group's spokesperson, Prince Kasim Afegwa, in a statement, commended the 15 senators and 37 House of Representatives members who defected from the ruling APC. The RAPC also commended the Senate President Bukola Saraki for what it termed his bravery and courage and boldness in confronting agents of the oppressors to preside over the Senate for legislative duties. The splinter group also urged Nigerians and members of the international community to rise to the occasion by safeguarding the country's democracy. The People's Democratic Party has welcomed into its fold the members of the Reformed All Progressive Congress who defected to the party in the National Assembly. PDP described the lawmakers' departure from the APC as a right step forward towards securing Nigeria's democracy. In a statement in Abuja by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olobodinyo, they accused the APC of caring less about the people who voted them into office. They claimed that the ruling party has become a sinking ship, saying any Nigerian that was not concerned about the future of the country must desert such. President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, on Tuesday failed to honor the invitation of the Nigerian police force over his indictment in the offer robbery. The force had invited Saraki to report to the head of the investigation team of the intelligence response team on July 24th at 8 a.m. in Guzape, Abuja. The invitation was in connection with the confession made by 5 suspects in the April 5th robbery that they were political thugs of Bukola Saraki. The force spokesman, Jimoh Moshood, while addressing newsmen on Tuesday in Abuja, said there was no timeline to the invitation. Moshood said that the force would not shy away from its constitutional responsibilities of crime detection. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the July 14th governorship election in Ekiti State, Professor Kolapo Olushola, has accused the Independent National Electoral Commission of frustrating his efforts to duly file a petition at the Elections Petitions Tribunal. Olushola is challenging the victory of the candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, as declared by INEC. He alleged that his application to INEC for the certified true copies of election documents and a motion ex parte made to the tribunal were rebuffed despite having fulfilled necessary steps. Olushola raised the alarm that the delay from INEC and tribunal were plans to allow time to run against him in instituting the legal action within the 21 days framework. He said no document had been made available to him despite repeated visits to INEC offices in Ekiti and Abuja. The public relations officer of INEC in Ekiti, Alhaji Taiwo Gbadegeshi, did not answer calls to his phone. The United Nations Human Rights Office on Tuesday expressed expressed concern that voter intimidation, threats of violence and coercion, including people forced to attend political rallies, are being increasingly reported in rural areas ahead of Zimbabwe's elections on July 30th. The United Nations Human Rights spokeswoman Elizabeth Thorsell, in a news briefing in Geneva, said, and I quote, "We call on the authorities and political parties and the supporters to ensure that the elections are not marred by such acts so that all Zimbabweans can participate free from fear in a credible election process." Kenyan Parliament is threatening to disband the Senate, the upper house, for overstepping its mandate for purporting to have powers of oversight of national government agencies. The legislators criticized the senators for duplicating what committees of the National Assembly are doing while leaving county governments to be looted. A day after Senate's Public Accounts and Investment Committee grilled the Education Secretary Amina Mohammed over the controversial payment of 1.5 billion shillings for land for 2 public schools in Ruaraka, members of the National Assembly took issues with the senators for doing so. The National Assembly accused the Senate of overstepping its mandate by playing an oversight role on national government agencies and duplicating business concluded by the National Assembly Committee. Uganda and India have signed a defense pact that will see the 2 countries strengthen existing ties in military training. The defense deal was done was one of 4 memoranda of understanding signed at State House in Entebbe at the start of a 2-day visit of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Other agreements signed include exemption for visa requirements for holders of diplomatic passports traveling between the two countries, cultural cooperation and exchange program, and the establishment of a regional materials testing laboratory. The Sudanese mediation has unveiled a new power-sharing proposal for the South Sudanese parties who are talking in Khartoum over how to end the ongoing bloody civil war in the country. The new peace plan seeks to create a presidency with vice presidents as proposed earlier, while the chairman of the SPLM-IO, Dr. Rick Marcha, would be reinstated into the first vice president's position. The cabinet will be extended from the current 30 ministers to 35 ministers and to be divided by the government SPLM-IO, SSOA and OPP as 20 ministers, 12 ministers, 2 ministers and 1 minister respectively. There will be 9 deputy ministers during the transitional period, which will be divided by the parties. At the state level, the responsibility sharing would be 55% for the government, 27% for the SPLM-IO, 10% for the SSOA, and other parties to get 8%. When I return, we'll bring you the latest developments on the Pakistani general elections, President Trump's scandal, and many more. Don't go away. And on the foreign scene, violence has erupted as millions head to polls in Pakistan. At least 31 people have been killed in a bomb blast in the city of Quetta. Elsewhere, minor blasts and clashes between party workers left several injured and 2 dead. Voters are deciding between the parties of the former cricket star Imran Khan and the disgraced former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. But the campaign has been overshadowed by concerns of fraud and violence. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan says there's been blatant attempts to manipulate the polls. A recorded conversation between President Donald Trump and his longtime personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, has emerged, revealing that the pair discussed purchasing the rights to a former Playboy model's story of an alleged affair between her and Trump. The tape, which was made 2 months before the 2016 presidential elections, purports to reveal a conversation about buying model Karen McDougal's story of an alleged affair which she claimed occurred in 2006, just a few months after the birth of the U.S. president's youngest son, Barron. Trump denies the affair ever happened, and his campaign had said he knew nothing about the payment. 19 people have been confirmed dead and more than 3,000 need to be rescued after a dam collapsed in a remote part of landlocked Laos, local media reported on Wednesday. The Vientiane Times, citing District Governor Buhom Pumasane, said 19 people have been found dead, more than 3,000 required rescue, and about 2,851 have been saved. Earlier, a senior Lao government official who declined to be identified because he was not authorized to speak to the media said dozens of people were found dead after the hydropower dam, which was under construction, collapsed on Monday. Hundreds were reported missing after walls of water washed away villages, and rescuers on Wednesday continue to search floodwaters for survivors, a government official said. State media in Syria reported that a suicide bomber in the southern Syrian city of Sweda killed and wounded an unspecified number of people in an attack near a marketplace early on Wednesday. Authorities chased and killed 2 other attackers in the area before they could detonate bombs attached to their bodies. Islamic State militants also attacked 3 villages northeast of Sweda city, killing and wounding a number of people. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the attacks killed 32 people, including civilians and fighters in the city and in its countryside. We'll bring you business reports after this break. Do stay with us. Aliko Dangote has an aggregate of $4.5 billion in debt financing for his proposed Nigerian oil refinery, which he estimates to require $14 billion for. Based on his estimation, the oil refinery project is to commence production by early 2020. The refinery, which will be the world's largest single refinery when completed, is expected to have a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day. According to Dangote, they will spend between $12 to $15 billion on the project. He also said the funding is going to come through equity, commercial bank loans, export credit agencies, and developmental banks. Last week, he signed a $650 million deal with the African Export-Import Bank for the refinery project. Still ahead on Plus TV News is our roundup on sports and entertainment. We'll be back in a moment.
And in entertainment, Beyoncé and Jay-Z on Tuesday were seen on a luxury yacht in Capri, Italy. And this time they weren't alone. They were spotted alongside their 3 children, Blue Ivy and the twins, Rumi and Sir Carter. The luxury yacht they hired is known as the Kismet, and it's worth $180 million US. The All Africa Music Awards, AFRIMA, has released the list of nominees for 2018, and the Nigerian pop stars Davido, Wizkid and Tiwa Savage are top of the leaderboard. This will be the 5th edition of the Music and Festival Awards and will take place at the impressive House of Blues in Dallas, Texas on the 7th of October 2018. This year, the organizers are adding another category titled AFRIMA Achievers Award and promise that this year's edition will probably be the best so far. Demi Lovato's spokesperson has broken the silence on Lovato's suspected overdose by saying in a statement, Demi is awake and with her family, who wants to express thanks to everyone for the love, prayers and support. Some of the information being reported is incorrect and they respectfully ask for privacy and not speculation, as her health and recovery is the most important thing right now. An inside source also reveals that she has distanced herself from many important people in her life and even let go of a few people on her team. Everyone has been urging her to get help with her life coach and to seek treatment again, but Demi thought she could handle it all on her own. Demi recently had wanted to be more social and out about and has been privately partying more with friends. Her performance slated for Thursday in Atlantic City has been cancelled. And that's it on entertainment. The very best in sports right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko with the biggest stories in the world of sports. Spanish champions Barcelona have confirmed the signing of Brazilian winger Malcolm from French Ligue 1 side Bordeaux after the midfielder put pen to paper on a 5-year contract in a deal worth 41 million euros, approximately 36.5 million pounds, with an additional 1 million euro in variables. And Italia Serie A side AS Roma had announced that they have reached an agreement with Bordeaux for Malcolm, subject to medical and personal terms being agreed, but the player has opted for Barcelona with his medical set for Wednesday. And the 21-year-old becomes Barcelona's second signing of the summer after the arrival of fellow Brazilian Arthur from Grêmio in a £35.5 million deal. And the midfielder replaces Paulinho, who has returned to Chinese Super League club Ganju Evergrande. And still on the transfers, Brazilian forward Richarlison has sealed a reunion with Portuguese tactician Marco Silva at the Premier League side Everton after becoming the club's first signing of the summer. And the 21-year-old joins from fellow Premier League side Watford and has signed a 5-year contract with the Toffees in a deal worth an initial £35 million with further clauses taking it to £50 million. And on his move to Everton, Richarlison told the club's website that I want to have a lot of success with Everton. An experienced Portuguese international midfielder João Moutinho has signed for newly promoted Premier League outfit Wolverhampton Wanderers ahead of the new season scheduled to kick off on the 10th of August. He joins Wolverhampton on a 2-year contract in a £5 million deal from French Ligue 1 giant AS Monaco. And the 31-year-old has 113 caps for Portugal and is the European nation's third most capped player behind Luis Figo, the legend, who has 127 caps, and Cristiano Ronaldo, who has 154 caps. And João Moutinho will link up with his international teammate Rui Patricio at the club after the goalkeeper joined Wolves from Sporting Lisbon earlier in the summer. And that's it on Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
That's our news roundup of events. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. To join us, I am Benga Aborowa. Have a lovely day.